Dear viewers, this is yet another video on entrepreneurship journey. If you are an NRI or a returning NRI and you want to set up some businesses, in this video we are going to talk to you about the infrastructure which is available in India, the schemes, incentives and various other things that may be of use to you. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I am Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, investment consultant and a financial planner.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Dear viewers, to guide you on your entrepreneurship journey, I have brought to the studio my eminent faculty, Chartered Accountant S.S. Naik. S.S. Naik is a popular figure on our channel. He has done earlier videos as well. He has over 3 decades of experience, a man who has spent his entire career mentoring several entrepreneurship in setting up businesses and in scaling up business. He has been awarded with KBL Nitte MSME Ratna Award. He has been awarded with KBL Nitte Lifetime Achievement Award for his contributions towards grooming the entrepreneurs in MSME sector. Welcome to the show, Mr. S.S. Naik.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatt.
Mr. S.S. Naik, we had done a video earlier on curtain raiser. What are the opportunities that are available? As we produce more and more videos, let us try to be more and more specific. Again, this video will be more of a general in nature, where we will try to draw the attention of our viewers what is waiting for them in India. So in this today's video, let's try to talk about what are the benefits a person who is opting to be an entrepreneur can expect in India. My first question to you is, NRIs are there from every part of India. If they want to come back and set up businesses in any nook and corner of India, one of the questions that is there in their mind is, are there special incentives available according to the place where they reside or the district where they reside or the community or gender based facilities or anything like that?
Definitely, it is location based. Normally in advanced or developed cities, the incentives are less, and developing towns, taluka areas, incentives are more, and rural area, incentives are phenomenal. Because the intention of the government is to make all round and development all over, and inclusive development, including rural areas. Employment, may it be employment generation, or may it be giving a lot of benefits to the local farmers, or may it be benefit extended to various other peripheral sectors. So that's why rural area incentives are more, developing areas incentives are there, but developed areas normally incentives are not there.
Okay. So if somebody wants to start his entrepreneurship journey, he has to keep this thing in mind. If he goes to some backward areas or move towards the villages or underdeveloped areas, he can expect better incentives from the government schemes when he starts his entrepreneurship journey. Right? Okay. Mr. Naik, you told about the incentives that are available for people to set up business in different parts of the country. The main thing for an entrepreneurship is the idea which he brings in. The rest is the money part. Money is the lifeline of any business. Always an entrepreneur has doubts in his mind, from where will I get the money. So what is the facilities that are available or the schemes that are available where he can borrow money to fund his entrepreneurship journey?
To get money, sources are many.
Okay.
First is promoter's own contribution. So normally when you want to set up any project, you have to prepare a detailed project report. So in that detailed project report, first you should plan what is your cost of the project. This cost of the project, how it will be funded, that is means of finance. In that funding, bank or debt funding, up to 75% of the cost of the project one can take from banks or financial institutions.
Okay.
25% promoter has to bring in as his or her margin towards the project.
Okay, when the bank is lending him 75% of the money, people always run into problem. I'll tell you what is the problem is. If a person is from a lower strata of the society, he doesn't have the 25% itself. If it's going to be a bigger business, the bank will ask for a collateral security. So either the person doesn't have a collateral to give, or the person may not have the required capital itself, but he has a good idea. So in the absence of these two, is there a ways and means wherein which still they can establish the business?
First question, you told about margin money.
Yes.
25% margin money promoter has to bring in. But in some cases, if the promoter is technocrat or if the promoter's ideas are too good, he cannot bring in 25% margin. In such cases, to bridge that gap for the margin also, there is a seed capital funding is there, or sometimes front-ended subsidies are also available for setting up of some enterprises. Regarding collateral, as you told, normally banks, they definitely require safety, because banks lend money out of the depositors' money. So their safety is also more important. So normally they insist for primary security of a project where they are going to invest. In addition to that, collateral by way of land and building or some other properties or some liquid securities, fixed deposits, insurance policies or blah blah blah, whatever it is, they are insisting. In case that also collateral security also promoter cannot bring in, there are 2 to 3 beautiful schemes where government will stand as a guarantor for the loan through credit guarantee scheme. So there is a credit guarantee trust, so which is there to guarantee the loan given to MSME entrepreneurs up to 2 crores rupees from the bank. There is a provision.
Okay, so if you have a good idea and you are constrained by not having the required collateral, you have nothing to worry about.
Yes.
There is scheme from the government,
Yes.
wherein which what you cannot give it as a collateral, the government itself can stand as a collateral for you. But one question that comes to my mind, now you say the government gives a collateral guarantee, and probably the MSME loans are soft loans and where you have a lesser rate of interest. Because the margin money is lesser or there is no collateral, is the entrepreneur required to pay a higher rate of interest?
Rate of interest is strictly based on your risk rating.
Okay.
Bankers, whenever you give any application for loan, they will make risk rating. Based on your risk rating, the rate of interest is determined. Normally MSMEs, the rate of interest is very much less than the other general loans. So while making risk rating, as you already told, promoters background, then prospects for the project, then market viability, then collateral security is offered, and similar projects, their experience, whatever it may be, good or bad. Based on that, they give each points, they give marks. Based on that marks, they will rate the unit, low risk, normal risk, moderate risk and high risk. Like that they make rating. Based on that, rate of interest will vary.
Based on current trends now, what could be the range of interest, the best case and the worst case, what could be the rate of interest the MSME loans carry the interest rate now?
In India now, the best rate is as low as 7%.
Which is same as housing finance?
Now up to as low as 7%, and max is as high as maximum 10%. That is the only spread. The 3% spread will be there based on the risk rating.
Okay. So if you are a good borrower and if the project is viable and they feel, you can definitely negotiate your rates.
Correct.
And try to get the best interest rate.
Correct.
So fund is available, collateral is not an issue, everything is fine. It's just that you have to make up your mind and give it a shape to your ideas.
Correct.
These days, we talk much about startup culture in India. Okay. NRIs, how can they make best use of this startup culture in India? Is there anything specific for the NRIs here?
Definitely. Now India has come out with that Startup India portal. If they log into the Startup India portal, all the details and benefits available for startups are there. So any startup idea if they have with the scalable volume of business or with the employment generation, creation of wealth, and with the new ideas, they can log into Department of for Promotion of Industrial and Internal Trade, that is DPIIT. They will approve this as a startup.
Okay.
Once they register as a startup, then they can get, suppose it is a MSME, then Udyam registration also they can do. Based on the Udyam registration, the category of enterprise, whether it is micro, whether it is a small, whether it is a medium, that will be determined. So once it is determined, they can think of getting funding either from venture capitalists or seed funding from government only, that under Startup India scheme, or they can get angel investors also, or they can go for bankers, as I have told, debt funding. In case of debt funding, I have told, you can either offer collateral security or you can get collateral free loan under CGT MSc scheme. Under CGT MSc scheme, again I want to clarify, this borrower need not have to give any collateral security, that is जमीन भी नहीं चाहिए, किसी का guarantee, जामीन भी नहीं चाहिए.
Acha, that's beautifully said.
Yes, no jamin, no jamin. So only that is nominal, that credit guarantee scheme insurance premium as small as 1.5% of the limit outstanding on the beginning of the year, they have to pay as an insurance premium. If any enterprise goes wrong, if he can't repay the loan, banks or financial institutions or NBFCs, they claim from this credit guarantee trust.
Okay. We spoke about the startup business. One doubt that comes to my mind is the word startup. Does it mean to say somebody has to start it up as a new venture now, or I have an idea which I started a few years before and it is running, but I want to make best use of this startup scheme? Am I eligible for that, or is it only for a freshly started scheme now?
So very nice question. Many people are under the impression that startup means it should be started newly, but they have broadened the definition. Earlier, up to 7 years back, if you have any unit, if you make scalable into higher levels, it could have been treated as startup. Now they have still liberalized into, instead of 7 years, they have extended to 10 years. Even any enterprise up to 10 years back, if it is set up, within 10 years, it will be treated as still startup. Even NRIs can also enter into existing units as directors or partners or LLP partners. So that will be also treated as startups only.
Okay. So if you have an idea, it need not be the new idea itself. If you have already given it a shape, but you want to scale it up, you want to make best use of the startup schemes that are there in India, within the, if your unit is less than 10 years old, you can still make best use of this particular scheme.
Correct.
When we talk about the startup businesses, most of the times government will help them with some tax break, concessions or deferred taxation, relaxation in GST and all these things. What are the specific benefits that are available under startup schemes for these new entrepreneurs?
Under startup scheme, now they have come out with one under section 80IA, that is whatever income is there, 3 out of 10 years, consecutively 3 years they can take income tax exemption also. Then now new manufacturing companies also, they have given one more benefit. Instead of earlier that companies taxation was as high as 30%, now they have reduced to 25%, and some categories of companies they have reduced to 22%. Now new manufacturing companies as low as 15% is the income tax rate, and startups even that out of 10 years, 3 years they can take income tax exemption also. And moreover, if the startups want to register under trademarks or patents, 80% concession will be there for registration of trademarks and patents. Only 20% is the cost. 80% concession will be offered for startups.
This is for the Indians or is it for NRIs?
It is
or
for
it's for everyone?
What we can say it, if you are registered under DPIIT portal as a startup, you are entitled to all these things. But income tax things, again you have to further get the registration and they have to approve. That is after 1st April 2016, if any enterprise is started, they can take the benefit of income tax exemption. This is 3 out of 10 years also.
So government is leaving no stone unturned to see that India is becoming a manufacturing hub. Looks like they are trying to do everything possible.
Extremely now ecosystem for startups, ecosystem for MSMEs, ecosystem in banking, ecosystem in what we can say there's investment FDIs now much liberalized India, and now it is only time to implement by entrepreneurs.
Okay. When we talk about entrepreneurship, in 2014, this government said that they are going to push for Make in India. They have a vision to make India as the manufacturing hub of the world. Now, is there anything available for NRIs to make use of, or are there any specific schemes which they can make best use of?
As you already told, Make in India is not a scheme. It is Atmanirbhar Bharat or
Okay.
self-reliant India. See, normally what happens, India is importing oil, and because of import of oil and many other goods, we are dependent on many other countries. Then definitely this current account deficit will alarm. So to avoid this current account alarming deficit, to make ourselves more Atmanirbhar, Make in India scheme has been announced. Make in India is time to time many schemes have been announced. Even this PLI scheme is there, product linked insurance, for product linked incentive scheme has been announced, where 25 sectors have been identified for giving lot of incentives to scale up their manufacturing operations, and 5 sectors they have been specifically identified, and they have given more impetus, and employment generation also will be made more and more available to the rural and developing areas. And due to this Make in India scheme, as now ease of doing business, now you may be knowing 134 or something was there in 2014, now it has been reduced to now 63 ease of doing a business in that is country our India ranking. It may be much better, I don't know, even ease of doing business ranking also there is some problems we have heard recently also. So the single window clearance scheme has also been introduced for a lot of issue of licenses, issue of clearances. Government has come out with single window clearance scheme also, everything online. So naturally once they introduce the online system, lot of impediments or lot of obstacles are removed. So now they are making what you can tell that investor friendly nation.
Okay. Mr. Naik, many of the NRIs have one question. They want to live outside of India. They have lots of money, they have got lots of ideas. It is the best minds which have left this country and gone. Staying outside of India, is there a way they can participate in the entrepreneurship journey inside India? If yes, how they can do it?
As you told, there was a brain drain. Now we can plan for brain gain. So those who are already abroad but they want to invest in India, there are many routes. Say for example, they can float a company where they can become director, but one resident director should be there. They can form LLP, they can form company, or they can form partnership firms where they can enter as a partner or director and invest money in that. And in startups also they can invest money, and FDI route also is now liberalized in many sectors. FDI has been extended up to 100% also. Even defense sector also now liberalized that FDI investment percentage also. So they can invest, being in abroad, they can invest in Indian businesses, and they can invest in lot of new ventures or existing ventures, and they can also earn money out of that. There is absolutely no issue. As I told, the tax rates are also have come down. Now due to the introduction of GST also, even that indirect tax is also one nation, one tax. Absolutely, that problem is also resolved.
Okay. One another follow-up question for this answer given by you is, an NRI invests from outside of India. He earns profit. Will he be allowed to repatriate the profit, or these profits have to remain in India only?
No, they can repatriate subject to FEMA norms.
Okay. So the repatriation is subjected to FEMA
FEMA
norms.
norms, but liberalized remittance system is also introduced. Absolutely, there is no issue about it.
Okay.
But only thing is, whatever they invest, once they take back, if it has not suffered taxes, so 15C and 15CB forms we have to certify. Based on that, if it has already suffered taxes, and if there is from inward remittance, whatever profit earned plus inward remittance what they have done, they can always take it as a outward remittance. Absolutely
Okay.
no issue.
So it has been simplified.
Yes.
Mr. S.S. Naik, thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been a volume of information, and this is the specific information the NRI community was looking for. In our future videos, we will talk more and more about specific schemes, the nitty-gritties of setting up the business, the do's and don'ts, and several other things. Again, thank you very much for your time.
I wish that our viewers, they become entrepreneurs in India and they do something for their motherland also. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share entrepreneurial views with your viewers.
Dear viewers, if you had an idea to start up a business in India, hope the video which we have done has given you some direction. If it was useful to you, please like this video. If you are a person who is watching this channel for the first time, or if you are yet to subscribe for this channel, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. Don't forget to share this video with your near and dear ones. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you with yet another topic in yet another video very, very soon.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.